Welcome to the Leafy podcast, helping real estate investors and entrepreneurs grow.
Let's start the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leafy Podcast. I'm your podcast manager, Tammy Gearling. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm here today with our host, Brian Price. Jennifer Gregorich is actually out today. She's having some roofing done because of that tropical storm that was sitting over Texas for several days. So Brian and I are going to be running the show today. We do have an awesome guest for you. I'll go ahead and get started with introducing our guest, Craig Curelop, and he is the BiggerPockets financial analyst, also known as the Figuy. He is an aggressive pursuer of financial independence. He started out with a net worth of negative $30,000 in 2016, but aggressively saved and invested and was financially independent in 2019. So he went from sleeping on the couch, renting out his car, to investing in 2 homes in Denver and Jacksonville, and was able to pull his way out of debt, and we are very excited to have him on. He also is the author of the book, The House Hacking Strategy, and so we'll have him talk a little bit about that. Can't wait to get started. So Brian, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you.
All right, well, welcome, Craig, and I believe it's Curelop, is that correct? The last,
yes.
How to pronounce your last name? Awesome.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Did I get it right?
So
I got
it
it wrong.
it was all right. All right, so you got
Sorry.
everything else right, but we'll make sure everybody, it's Craig Curelop. And so, but we're really excited to have you here, Craig. And so, just to get us started, it'd be interesting to hear about, how you went from negative $30,000 and how you kind of started to, become financially independent by, 2019.
Yeah, so I guess my net worth was negative $30,000 in 2017 when I kind of just started.
Okay.
And that was basically, most of that was student loan debt, right? I had like $90,000 of student loan debt, and I had like, between my 401k and some other savings, I had about 60,000 saved up. So that difference there is negative 30,000.
Right.
Now, what really kind of propelled me was when I moved to Denver and I got my first house hack. And so for those of you who don't know, a house hack is when you buy a property with very small amounts down, like 3 to 5% down. You live in one part and rent out the other parts, such that the rent from either the other units, if it's like a duplex, triplex, or quad, or the other rooms, if it's a single family, completely cover your mortgage so that you live for free while building wealth, building equity in a house and all that kind of stuff. So typically an American's largest expense is going to be living expenses. So by eliminating living expenses and building equity in a house, I was able to really start to grow my net worth. And that was just like year one, and so I was saving so much in year one, I was able to go ahead and get my second property and now my third property. So I've got actually 3 house hacks in Denver now. And I've also got the one in Florida as well, but that's a different story.
Yeah. So in each of these houses that you invested in, are you living in part of it while you're fixing it up and getting it?
So yeah, in order to get that 3 to 5% down, low down payment, you have to live in there for 1 year. That's what the bank says.
Okay.
And you don't have to fix it up. If you fix it up, you definitely get a little bit more equity out of it. But the first one, I did not fix up at all. It was completely ready to go. And I was just saving on rent. It was actually kind of funny. The first property I got was a duplex. And so it was a top-down duplex, and again, totally brand new. And they were both 1 bed, 1 baths. So I was renting out the top and living in the bottom, but the top wasn't quite covering my mortgage. So what I decided to do was I decided to rent my bedroom out on Airbnb and basically put up like a quasi bedroom in the living room. And so I had a cardboard box with a curtain cornered me in a living room, slept on a futon for a year while I had a revolving door of Airbnb guests coming in. And that allowed me to basically completely cover my mortgage plus more, live for free for that whole year, and then allowed me to get the second house hack where now I have my own room and all that kind of stuff, but still living for free. So.
Okay, that's very cool. So you must have some pretty good stories of the Airbnb times.
Yeah, there's some good ones. Most are uneventful, unfortunately. But
okay, yeah. So what's one of the good stories you have for Airbnb, just so that and maybe some tips along the way of how to make sure you're doing a good Airbnb as well, because I know that's one of the things a lot of people are interested that are listening to this is, if you're going to rent something out, especially on a short-term basis, what's some good tips for that?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess a good story that I think came out of it is I had a couple come in and they were just traveling to Denver. They were both from South Carolina, and they came in and they were like super cool. We were hanging out a decent amount, talking, chatting, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And they ended up going away, going back home. They ended up breaking up, and one of them actually ended up moving back to Denver. And they hit me up, and we now are friends, and we're still friends. It's been over 2 years now, so
Oh, okay.
you kind of can develop a lot of friendships that way too. And that's kind of the one, probably like my best friend from Airbnb, but there are a couple others that don't live in Denver, but I'm still in touch with because
Hmm.
they're interested in real estate investing or whatever it is, and we had common interests, so we still chat. So I think the networking thing and traveling and all that kind of stuff, if you like that, it
Yeah.
is really fun.
Okay.
In terms of tips, if you are looking to Airbnb, there's so many things I could tell you, but I would say you always want to. There's Airbnb demand almost anywhere, I would say, as long as you're
Hmm.
kind of close to a city or a desirable place. Even if it's
Okay.
out in the suburbs or whatever, like people are still
Yeah.
going to want to stay there.
Hmm.
And so I wouldn't be super self-conscious about your location as long as it's somewhere relatively close. Also, pictures really sell it. And what sells houses are kitchens, bathrooms, and kind of common areas.
Hmm.
You can only doll up a bedroom that much unless there's like a beautiful view or something.
Let's transition to your book. So you wrote a book called House Hacking Strategy. So is kind of walk us through the book. What kind of things are you kind of teaching people in it, and kind of go from there?
Yeah, so the whole idea is basically using house hacking to achieve financial independence, right? And so what financial independence is basically being able to have enough passive income to satisfy your expenses such that you no longer have to work a full-time job and you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
go do the things that you love to do, whether that be travel, spend time with family and friends, start your own business, whatever it is. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think house hacking is the best way to get there as fast as possible with the least amount of risk, right?
Yeah.
Because there's just the returns that you can get from house hacking, which I describe in this book, are crazy, crazy big because
Mm-hmm.
you're only putting, for example, in my market, you can get a house between $300,000 and $400,000. So with that, you're probably putting down around $20,000, and just from rent savings and cash flow alone, you'll probably make $20,000 back that year. Plus, you have all of the appreciation on the property, all of the loan pay down, and there's also
Mm-hmm.
tax advantages that makes it such that your actual return on investment is way more than that 100% in that first year. And you
Yeah.
basically put all your money back out, and then you can just continue to do it again and again every year. And that passive income and that cash flow grows and grows and grows year over year to a point where working becomes optional and you can do what you want, when you want, with who you want, however you want.
Yeah. Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
So when it comes to what you learn now, if someone wanted to start, from scratch today, what kind of advice would you give someone like that?
I would say definitely it gets easier as you go. So the first
Okay.
one's always going to be hardest. The first
Uh-huh.
part is saving up that first 20 grand, right? And so actually as part of bonus content in the book, it I wrote another ebook, a small ebook that's basically how to save your first $20,000 for that first down payment.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of goes into talking about, okay, where can you cut savings? Maybe you can, find a landlord that's willing to rent you maybe a 3 or 4 bedroom place, and you can
Okay.
rent out the bedrooms individually and basically have that cover your rent so you live for free that way, right? So no down
Mm-hmm.
payment involved there outside of a security deposit. There's other different saving methods in terms of like transportation. How do you cut down your transportation costs? Because that's probably your second largest expense. How do you cut
Yeah.
down your food and all that kind of stuff? So how do you save? But then there's also the aspect of how do you make more money? So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of go into how you can start maybe negotiate a little bit at your full-time job, or how you can just make more money at your full-time job, or maybe you do some side hustles and that kind of stuff. So yeah, basically just how to make more and save, yeah, make more and save more to
Okay.
basically widen that gap, and then you'll be able to hopefully get to that 20,000 number in a year or two.
Okay. That's awesome. So yeah, and then once you're doing your first one, are you pulling money out of your first hack that you're doing, and then to put your down payment on the second one? Is that kind of how you're doing it, or
Nope, I have not taken
no?
a dime out of any of my
Oh,
properties
okay.
yet. Yep, it's
So you're
just straight savings.
Oh, okay. So you
Yep,
basically save up for one, you move into that one, and then you keep doing it.
yep, because you save so
More.
much
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm not spending $1,000 a month on rent, you know.
Got it. Okay.
So
That's
that
cool.
that plus my other savings allows me to save another $20,000-$30,000 in a year, and I can go ahead
Okay.
and go do it again.
Yeah. That's great. So one thing I want to ask is some people have families. I know I have kids and stuff, and I don't know if you have a family yet, but if someone was going to do this, if they had their own family, you know, what kind of suggestions do you have for that? Because it may be a little bit different of a dynamic.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't expect a family to live behind a curtain or anything like that, or even live.
Yeah.
But there's kind of a spectrum of house hacking, right? I'm
Okay.
kind of more on the aggressive side because
Okay.
I am single and I'm young. But
Mm-hmm.
if you do have a family and you're a little bit more established in life, then you can do what we call a luxurious house hack. And that
Okay.
is basically you buy your dream home, you live in the beautiful house that you want to live in, but maybe you have an additional dwelling unit out back and you can rent that out on Airbnb, or maybe you have a mother-in-law suite that you're not using right now and you rent that out. And so in some way or another, someone is paying you to use your property, and hopefully you guys don't actually cross paths.
Yeah.
So that way, your kids can run around in your house, but everyone can, the guests can be in the next property over.
Yeah. So how does someone get your book? So if someone wants to buy your house hacking strategy, what's kind of the best way someone could buy your book if they wanted to?
Yeah, so the best way would be to go to www.biggerpockets.com/househack.
Okay.
And yeah, so October, and that's where you can get all of the bonus content with
Okay.
with that ebook I just mentioned, and
Got it.
that's what the ultimate package would be. You can also go on Amazon, but that won't launch for another couple of weeks because we like to give our users a little bit of basically a little bit of a benefit of being a user of BiggerPockets, so they get it a little bit before everyone else.
Yeah, we're a big backer of BiggerPockets as well, and so definitely get it there. I think the package, just to kind of outline what the ultimate package has, and I think it's a wonderful value. I think definitely worthwhile is you get your audiobook, you get the paperback book, you actually get the ebook as well, so you get every form. We're also getting the house hacking deal analysis calculator. Could you kind of give a little bit of details on what that is and how that's going to be beneficial?
Yeah, so basically, obviously, it's a little bit scary going into your first house hack, and you want to make sure your numbers are right. And so, and I've analyzed tons of these. I'm also, I'm an agent out in Denver as well, and I help people house hack. And so I've looked at so many deals for so many people. And so basically, I made a calculator that's just really simple, really easy to use. There's not a whole lot of inputs, but you still kind of get a good idea as to whether the deal will work, what your cash flow will be, and what your return will be, and if you'll be living for free or not.
Sounds cool. And then the other thing you get is the video tutorial of how to use a house hacking deal analysis calculator. So that basically shows you how to use it.
Yep.
And then, of course, you get the bonus ebook that Craig talked about, the savings for your first house hack, how to make more and spend less and purchase the next property sooner. Also, there's a video with property walkthroughs of the author's of Craig's first 3 house hacks. So kind of talk about that. I think that's pretty cool. So you basically show people exactly how you did the first 3 you did.
Yeah, so basically we walked through each property. So I've got 3. We walked through each one. We took a video of, just different properties, and I basically will just run through the exact numbers of what each property looks like. So purchase price, my mortgage payment, what I'm getting for rent, what my cash flow looks like, what my cash on cash return looks like, and what my net worth return on investment looks like for each property. And just to kind of show you what I did and what worked for me. And it may or may not work for you, but just kind of shows you that, it's not hard to find a deal that works if you just kind of get a little bit creative with it. So,
so it's really looking under the hood and seeing how you did everything.
Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I think that's definitely worth a lot more than what you're charging for it. So definitely something that a lot of times it's one thing to read about it, it's another thing to see how the deals were done. And so I think that's really important. And then the final thing is the founder of House Hacking interview with Brandon Turner. Could you kind of give a little insight of who Brandon Turner is and what you guys
for sure. So Brandon Turner, if you've been on BiggerPockets, I'm sure you've heard of Brandon Turner. But so he is the guy that actually coined the term house hacking. So he didn't actually invent the strategy that's been going on for years now, but he actually coined the term, and now it is a very prominent term in the real estate industry. And he started off with a house hack. He started off with a duplex. He lived in one half, rented out the other, and the other half totally covered his mortgage, and he lived for free.
Yeah.
And he then used his real estate in his area could, like, he used his savings and all that to purchase more and more real estate to the point now where he is, it's like 10 or 12 years since that first house hack, and he's living on the, he still is house hacking, but now he's house hacking in Hawaii, and he's got a triplex where he lives in the top, one of his tenants and friends lives in the bottom, and he actually leaves the middle empty so for when visitors come. And he's got an ocean view. It's like a beautiful triplex that he's house hacking. So to this day, he's still house hacking. He's got that view for, I think, $1,000 a month. So,
oh, wow. That's great. That's really good deal. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's the entire ultimate pack. I think it's well worth the, I think it's $44.99 or something like that. It's a
right
steal.
now, yeah.
I mean, you could charge 10 times that and it'd still be worth it. So, that's amazing. So, one thing I wanted to ask is you have 4 homes, but you're only been able to live in 2. So what happened with the other ones?
Oh no, so I've lived in, so the first one was a duplex. So I count that as 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Then one is, I moved in a year after I moved into that duplex. I moved into the second one, house hacked that one. And then a year after that, which was just a couple months ago now, I moved into the third one. So I just moved into there actually it was beginning of August. So from this recording, it was just, just like a month and a half ago.
Oh, okay.
So that actually may not even have made it to when we were actually, talking to you guys about coming on the show. So
yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, super recent.
Okay. Very cool. And so what do you think is the biggest fear that prevents people from doing house hacking?
I think there's a couple things. I think one is that you will be totally different from everybody else. So, and it will always be that way. And at first, you will look like a poor man because you'll be living, whether you're living on a curtain behind a couch, or you just have your own bedroom sharing a place, or you have someone coming into your house. You look like you're maybe struggling for money, and people are asking you why you're doing this. I thought you had a good job, yada yada yada. But you ignore them and you continue to do what you're doing for a year, and then year 2 you start to have tens of thousands of dollars that you did not have before, and you start buying other property. And then year 3 and 4, you may start to have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars that no one has. And now you're investing in bigger things, bigger properties. And then within a few years, you're going to be able to have the opportunity to totally quit your job and go travel or do whatever you want to do. And so then your life is still not like anyone else's. So throughout this entire process, your life is not really ever like anyone else. So you have to be comfortable being different.
Okay.
And you have to be comfortable just getting started because, as long as you do your education, and if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you are doing your education, you will is a very low probability that you will lose house hacking.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah. So basically it's all about keeping up with the Joneses and not worrying about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You don't want to keep up with the Joneses, right?
Yeah.
It's just let the Joneses be the Joneses and just keep up with yourself and know that like your bank account is growing.
Yeah.
And even though, it doesn't look like it is with your fancy car or your fancy house or whatever it is.
So what's the next step? What's are you going to continue house hacking, or what's kind of your long-term goal with this kind of methodology?
Yeah. So I'll probably do one more house hack after this one. I'd probably just do it forever. Honestly, I'll just keep doing it until it doesn't make sense, but not necessarily at this rate, right? Like now that I think I am officially financially independent now, like in a year or 2, I'd like to go and travel for a little bit and kind of get out of my system while I'm still in my 20s, and then come back and settle down. And if settling down means buying more real estate, then I would probably do that. But just kind of being flexible. This whole thing is just allowing me to live the life that I want to live and be able to handle any curveballs that come my way.
Yeah, that's great. When you're doing a hack, how do you consider the house? Are you looking for someone that you're looking to fix up, or is it based on maybe your abilities as a person to fix up a house, or what kind of, or are you looking more turnkey? What would be kind of a thought process that someone may want to go through in order to decide whether or not they want to do more of a fixer-upper type of house hack, or maybe more turnkey?
Yeah, so it's totally up to you, right? So a fixer-upper, you'll probably get a higher return on for sure, because you're going to add value, and the house is going to appreciate. You're going to force that appreciation in, but it's going to take a little bit of extra work. It's going to take a little bit of extra money. So if you've got a little bit extra money, a little bit extra work, I would say, and you are handy, go forward with that. Try to find something that needs a little bit of love.
Okay.
As for me, I'm like the least handy person ever. So my first one, I did not do anything.
Okay.
Right. And now as I'm getting deeper and deeper into this house hacking on my third one. My rehabs have gotten a little bit bigger in each one, and that's because I have more money now because of the the nature of house hacking, and I still don't really do anything myself. But I'm just hiring it out, and I'm okay building that value that way.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So no, you don't need any prior skills, though. If you had some, maybe it would be helpful, maybe on your first couple to get started.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But you don't need
Cool. So after you live in them for a year, when you exit, are you renting them now, or what's the what are the ones that you've already bought and lived in for a year? Are you renting them out, or what are you doing with them?
Yeah, so the first one I'm renting out, it's a duplex, so I'm just renting out both sides kind of traditionally. They were on Airbnb before, but I recently took them off.
Okay.
The second one is just rent by the room. So basically I just put someone in my place, and now that is cash flowing very nicely.
Yeah.
And then the third one is I'm living in now. So with the third one, it's a 6-bed, 3-bath.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, so it's pretty big. But I basically, where the upstairs meets the downstairs is a doorway to the garage. So I actually just like walled off where the upstairs meets the downstairs, or like the top of the stairs to go downstairs. And so now I've got basically 2 separate units. I've got a 3-bed, 2-bath upstairs, which I live in 1 bedroom, and I rent out the master bedroom and the other bedroom for $1,550. And then I also am going to be Airbnb-ing the bottom, which I conservatively estimate to get about $2,000 a month for that. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath with a kitchen and everything down there. And my mortgage payment there is just $2,100. So I'm looking at $3,500 on a $2,100 mortgage payment. So it's a deal that I like.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So what is the biggest issue with dealing regards to renting? Do you have like a rental manager, or are you managing everything yourself right now?
Right now I am managing everything myself.
Okay.
What I really don't like to do is just like the little petty things that you have to do, like mow the lawn and shovel and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I actually just discounted the rent at the other house I was at. And I discounted the rent for one person. He's kind of taking care of all of that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So just kind of, doing what you can. And then I guess is the plan to get a rental manager eventually to handle all that stuff?
Yep. I'm in talks with a couple now, actually, to hopefully start handling all that, because I just don't want that on my plate. So
yeah. Be hands off as much as you can.
Yeah. Make it passive, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you being on the podcast today. And if you guys want to pick up his book of house hacking, it's on BiggerPockets.com/househack. We'll also have all the links below as well. So, Craig, I appreciate you being on here. Are there any kind of parting wisdom you want to give to us that we may not have asked?
I would just say, get uncomfortable. Just be okay with being a little bit uncomfortable, because anything you do that's uncomfortable is just going to allow you to grow out of your comfort zone, and that will help you grow. And it's really amazing when the things you can do if you just actually take action and do something that's a little uncomfortable for you at first. But don't be afraid of those uncomfortable situations.
Perfect. Awesome. So buy his book, get the ultimate package, because I think it's the best value of all of them. And is there any other place we can get a hold of you, Craig, that people can ask you questions or see what you're up to?
For sure. Yeah. So, obviously you can buy the book and I'm on BiggerPockets, but the best way outside of that, honestly, I probably am more responsive on Instagram than anywhere. So if you want to reach me on Instagram, I'm at thefiguy. So TheFiguy.
Okay. Perfect.
And that's it.
All right. Awesome. So I appreciate you being on the show. We'll put all your links below so people can get a hold of you and contact you. And Tammy, do you want to take us out?
Sure. Thanks again, Craig. I have definitely learned a whole lot from you today. So, really, when I came out of college, $50,000 in debt, the last thing I was thinking was like, oh, let me purchase a house. And, like I was thinking, oh God, I got to go out and get a freaking job and, pay back all that rent. So, so I love that. Just trust in the system of house hacking, and after a year, you'll see the benefit, and then you'll just continue rolling into it as you go along. So that's really awesome. Thank you again, Brian, for hosting today, and we really enjoyed the whole thing. I have a ton of information that I'll be providing for everyone in the show notes. If you do want to go ahead and comment about this episode, or if you have a question you would like me to ask Craig and pass along, please go ahead and email me at Tammy, Tammy, at leafylegalservices.com, and I will make sure to relay that message to Craig, or we'll give you a shout out on our next episode. So please like us and send us any comments you have. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify. You'll find us all over the place. So thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.